The ACC thought it was signing an extension of life. Turns out that puppy was a death note. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy breaking news, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. ESPN.com says, sources, ESPN okays option to televise ACC through 2036. What sources? You're ESPN. If you're the one that did it, why don't you just cite your sources here? Number one takeaway you probably have from this is the ACC is safe. Syracuse is in a great spot, and Wake Forest is going to be okay. And yeah, they rework it, and they're going to pay a little bit extra money to Clemson and Florida State and give the big brands. That's the whole deal here, is that the schools suing the ACC will be appeased because the conference is now going to have a brand pool of money and give that money to the brands that make the conference more revenue. Now, this sets an ugly precedent in college sports that in a couple of years, BYU can make a whole lot more money than Cincinnati in the Big 12, or a Texas Tech can make a whole lot more money than a TCU. But that's not even the worst part of this. That's not where the Death Note thing comes in. By the way, if you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Here's where the Death Note comes in, reading at tigernet.com. Should that agreement be finalized, something sources said is not imminent, but closely tied to the ESPN option, Clemson and Florida State would be expected to drop their lawsuits. So what will happen is the ACC says, sure, we'll create an algorithm. You'll get more money because you're the bigger brands. You won't make the same amount as an NC State. However, stop suing us. Here's where things get really hairy and where the death of the ACC is expedited because of this move. Direct quote, as part of the settlement, Clemson and Florida State are asking the ACC to agree to reduce penalties for exiting the grant of rights after 2031 when TV contracts for the Big 10, SEC, and Big 12 are set to expire. The ESPN story cites administrators pointing to the demise of the Pac-12 for league members to agree to concessions that steer more money toward bigger athletics brands in the ACC. Uh-oh. Nicole Arbach. Obviously, this is huge news and something the rest of the industry has been waiting on. The ACC and FSU Clemson have been working towards settling the lawsuits and finding a satisfactory new revenue distribution model for months now. The ACC's stability is huge. With the current Big 12, Big 10, SEC media deals stretching till the end of the decade, this should keep things stable in the power conferences through 2030. So that's it. You've signed an extension, right? You're a 23-year-old basketball player, and the organization comes to you and says, hey, we'll sign you for the next 5 years. But after that, you can never play basketball again. Here's a 5-year deal, a Band-Aid and a bullet hole. We'll patch this thing up a little bit. You give us 5 years of your best work, but after that, you have to promise, like non-compete, you pretty much can't play basketball anymore. Hey, listen, there are too many legal things to jump through here. ESPN saying there are too many legal things to jump through. We can't get out of the grant of rights. Could you just take this for a few more years, and then when we rework the Big 10, the SEC, the Big 12, at that point, we'll figure it out. Because I can tell you that no matter, they haven't released the official numbers of what's going to go in the brand pool, but there's still a $25 million gap yearly from TV revenue between schools in the Big 10 and the ACC, or schools in the SEC and the ACC. And I don't think the brand pool is going to fix that. What's more, there will be auxiliary brands like NC State that aren't terrible, Georgia Tech that are not terrible, that are going, hey, wait a second. Why are we making less money now? We do the same games. We play the same amount as these guys. NC State's saying, hey, we've won more football games in the last 10 years than a Miami. SMU's going, what did we just join? Cal and Stanford? Saying, wait, there's a brand pool now and they get a ton of money and we don't? Again, this is where a BYU or a UCF or a Baylor or an Arizona State would be pissed off when they find out Arizona or Colorado will make twice as much money or whatever the number may be because their brand is bigger. Like, yeah, okay. Then the simplest way to do this to not tick everybody off is for Florida State and Clemson just to go through with their settlements. Just to go through with this, break the grant of rights, settle, and leave. But instead, we said, hey, before we do that, let's create a firestorm for 5 years prior to 2030 when everything's reworked. And then after that firestorm's over, everyone hates each other so much, it'll be real easy to just get you guys out. We'll just write in there that, hey, you know what? We'll rework this thing in 2030 and give you a discount. Can you just hang on for a second? So when we talk about stability with the ACC, and a lot of ACC pundits, a lot of national pundits are going to come to you and say, it's the day that college football was saved. Realignment is killed and expansion is killed and college football lives on today. That's not exactly how this is worded. Because here's the deal. The baseline of this for me, ESPN doesn't want you to think they're the bad guy. Come on, guys. They're owned by Disney. The monkey. That's a thing. A mouse. He's a mouse. And that network, those 4 letters, they don't want you to see them as a bad guy. They want to see them as the savior of college football. Uh-oh. Hey, you guys said we were trying to kill everything and make expansion this big deal. We're not now, baby. We're going to save that ACC that you know and love. There's the ACC Network. Come on, guys. Isn't that great? Isn't it awesome? It's like, hey, wait. I'm reading right here where in 4 years, 5 years at a discount, they can go. Yeah, but we saved it, right, guy? We brought stability back to the ACC. It's a monumental day. Cheers. If you actually read this stuff, that's not what they're doing. They're not saving college football. They're delaying the inevitable. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, this is per On3, got this option through value adds in the form of future matchups in football and basketball that includes potentially continuing their connection in ways with Notre Dame in the future. Hale also broke down the new proposed revenue model that could look like alongside their success initiatives. It's not official yet. It could be something that with this deal continuing for the next decade, what makes all courtroom problems eventually go away. Would do so by shrinking the difference to only a few $1 million annually in revenue from teams the ACC to the ones in the SEC or the Big Ten. So that brand fund is what they're leaning on. They're leaning on a brand fund and also whatever will pay for you to play Notre Dame every couple of years. I'll give you a non-conference game against that NBC school and whatever. On3 continues. The ACC was mostly accepted to remain under contract with their rights at ESPN into the 2030s. Even so, this deal, with much to still make official, could better set the conference up on a better foundation for the future with what this could mean for its schools moving forward. That I don't disagree with. That I don't. There can be a foundation here of the teams that are so peeved off at ESPN, a la Texas Tech, Baylor, TCU, when they got left behind with the 8 teams left in the Big 12. They were so ticked off at Texas and Oklahoma, they said, fine. You know what we're going to do? We're going to create our conference. We're going to build it back. And maybe that's the way that these ACC schools go. Maybe the foundation's there. But I can tell you this. You've just given an out, in the near future, a pretty clear out. Like I could go to college. And you remember when you were in college, it was a quick 4 years. Go to college, graduate, and that's the timeline of flow. So we're all starting off right now. It's the summer before a freshman year of college for us. And we're about to get it. We're about to, when we graduate, we walk that stage, that's when all of this is going to blow up. It's that soon. So, yeah, I mean, what did you fix? You gave them hope for a little bit? It's kind of stupid. Just don't kill us, please. I love hosting this show. I do. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. The Super Bowl is coming up. I'm going to shoot straight. I won't be at the Super Bowl. I'm going to Las Vegas for it because that just sounds fun. I had the option to go to the Super Bowl, though, because of Game Time. Attending NFL playoff games is an experience like no other. I love going to NFL games. Cowboys fan. That sucks, to be honest with you, but the games are awesome. Game Time picks. I can grab tickets for upcoming games, and it can't be any easier. Super deals give you incredible value for amazing seats. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Super deals, the best value for the event every time. And the seat view before you buy. Hey, this kind of looks like the nosebleeds, and you actually view it. It's not. This is good. These are good seats. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, on-time ticket delivery, all of that with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege. Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account with Game Time. Redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Big 12's in a good spot. The ACC, Band-Aid in a bullet hole. And a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Morgan Wallen, do I get copyrighted for that? We'll see. This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.